Many Gen Zs may not be aware of this. Many Gen Zs may not be aware of this, but there was a time in Nigeria where armed robbers were executed through firing squad. Of course, organizations like the Amnesty International, I'm not sure they were active then or they were even in existence. So armed robbers were usually executed and it was through firing squad. So there's this interesting story that my mom told me that never really left me. Yes, she talked about a young man that was caught doing armed robbery. He was an armed robber and he was caught. And usually they would give, usually when they're about to execute a human being, they usually give you an opportunity to talk or to just to talk to your family or to do whatever he needed to do. So this guy requested to speak to his mom at the stake. He was already at the stake and he decided to speak to his mom. And as the mom came, he now told her, he beckoned to her to come near. And I wanted to whisper something into her ears. And guess what he did? He beat her ear off. And you might be wondering, why did he take such an extreme position? I think I have an idea. Maybe he felt like she did not train him properly. She did not do the right thing. But am I applying this same thing to Regina Daniel's mom? Well, you have to stay with me to find out after this time. There was a video of hers that is circulating online that was released and it showed her crying for help. She talked about how her marriage is violent and all that, and it's been circulating on social media. And there are many pundits on the issue. Some people are blaming her, some people are blaming her mom. But I don't want to go from those directions. I just want to say something. You know, as human beings, there's something about us. We all have dreams in our 20s, even as teenagers. There's something in your mind. There's a way you want your life to be. There's a way you plan your life. Some people say, before I'm the age of 25, I'll get married, or before 30, or I'll have my PhD before 30, or they'll have one plan or the other. But if you go through life, you realize that as you go along, there'll be things that you will never achieve. No matter how much you try to achieve them, when that time comes, you find out that you are unable to achieve that very thing you achieved. And what happens is that as somebody gets older, maybe in their 40s, in their 50s, and they don't achieve those things that they thought they would achieve, they now start projecting those things on their children. In their minds, they'll be like, when I have children, this is what I want my child to be. This is what I want my child to be. And in this part of the world, there's something that is very funny. Parents in this part of the world, at least like 20 years ago, now things are changing because of the tech world and because of the entertainment industry and all that, you know. But there was a time that the average parents would want their child to be either a medical doctor or a lawyer. And sometimes when those people don't even want to study that course, their parents will force them, they will emotionally blackmail them, they will coerce them. So I'm sure Regina Daniel's mom, I'm sure there's something she had in her mind, you know, about her life, you know. But when you look at it, yeah, she started acting. She started acting, in fact, before her daughter. Definitely, she was an actress. She was the person that introduced her daughter, Regina Daniels, into the Nollywood industry. And she started acting, and her marriage did not really work out. So probably, you know, when you're a woman, you are the breadwinner. Sometimes you don't want your children to go through that same thing that you went through, especially when you're the breadwinner, you are the one looking after the family, or your husband is not doing well. So you want to, you try not, you have plans that your children, your hope is that you have hopes that your child will not end up being the breadwinner. I don't know what was in Regina Daniel's mom's mind, but let's look at it. Most parents wish their children well. Most parents wish their children well. If she looked into the future and she saw what is happening today, I'm not sure she would have encouraged her child to get married to Ned Nwoko, a senator. For those that don't know, Regina Daniel is in her 20s. When she was about 18 or 19, she got married to Ned Nwoko, a man that they say is at least 50 years older than her, or 54 years older than her. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But the man is, as we speak, the man is possibly in his 60s and she's just in her early 20s. So you see the age gap is wide. And people are saying it was Regina Daniel's mom that encouraged her to go into the relationship. But I'm sure Regina Daniel's mom did not plan for the things to turn out the way it wants to turn out. Sometimes, or oftentimes, parents have the best for their child. They want the best for their children. So they do one thing or the other, thinking that that will be the best. And sometimes it doesn't turn out that way. I'm sure today she's not particularly happy with what's going on. Yes, I'm praying for Regina Daniel, and I hope that whatever happens, she and her husband will sort things out amicably. It's always unfortunate when things come out on social media, because in every story there are different sides to a story. I'm sure her husband has he has some things in his mind we, in any situation, basically, what I'm just trying to say is that in any situation, you all have different sides of a story. Sometimes when you hear one side, you tend to blame the other and all that. So I don't want to go into this blame game, really. I don't want to go into this blame game. I don't know what was in Ned Woko's mind when he married someone that was so much younger than he is. But you see, in this part of the world, especially when a man is doing well, it's quite, they always want to, if they are not married to, they date younger girls. You see younger girls even struggling to date them, youth corpers. I served in Abuja, and I know how quite a number of younger people, were interested in meeting all these old men, especially older politicians. And I nearly got into that trap. Maybe I'll share it in a future video if you're interested in the story. How I nearly got into that trap. I would have ended up as a big chick in Abuja. Yes, I got into some really slippery situations. So I understand what it is as a young person. You may get tempted to live that kind of life. So if you're interested in if you're interested in the story, say it in the comments. I might just decide to share it one day. Okay, so now back to Regina Daniel's mom. I don't think she had anything negative in her mind when she was introducing her child to Ned Nwoko. Ned Nwoko is obviously a very extremely wealthy man. Now, I don't know the source of his wealth. I don't know how he made his money, but that's not the topic for this discussion. But the mother was really interested, and it was like she encouraged them to get married. And today you see what's happening. That is why in life, whatever happens, know that sometimes it's friends. Sometimes friends will tell you, oh, you are looking good. Oh, there was someone I was dating at a particular point. Or sorry, someone that was my toaster. He was asking me out at a particular point. And people used to say, oh, you guys look so good together. You guys should date. You look so good to get them together. And I used to say, would I date a guy just because we look so good together? Of course, I didn't end up dating the guy because I had no feelings for him. I would have done it because of other people. So we have to be careful. But now going back to Regina Daniel's mom, I don't think she really had bad intentions for her daughter. She wanted, and unfortunately, it didn't turn out the way she wanted. Now, are you a parent and you have fears, or you are planning to be a parent, you have fears, you don't know what the future will hold? For example, a country like Nigeria, there are so many things to be worried about. You don't even know the school to send your children, because schools, there are issues with schools, the educational system, and also some places in Nigeria, they are considered very dangerous. So sometimes some people send their children abroad, and even when the child goes abroad, you're not exactly sure what's happening. So sometimes as a parent, there's so much a parent has to think about. She's so scared of so many things. If you watch the news, you hear of so many horrible things, and you're a parent, you'll be so scared. You can't even leave your children with relatives because you hear all manner of things. So things are happening. So we understand that Regina Daniel's mom had that kind of fear, and she didn't want her daughter to suffer, I guess, financially, and she thought she was doing the best thing. But now, as a parent, how can you be sure that your choice, the choice you are making for your child, is the best? Well, there's a way to be sure. You have to know the purpose of a child. Now, if you're a parent, you already have a child, it's not too late. But now I want to speak to people. Are you a young Gen Z, or you're a bit older than Gen Z? You are planning to get married. Know for sure that you have children. Know for sure that children are eventually going to come out of the union, most likely. Yes, if you plan to get married and you plan to have children, you have to listen to this part of this video. Because don't just think of it, oh, I just like the way the guy looks, oh, the way his eyes are. Like, there's a guy I had a crush on. I used to like the color of his eyes. So if I had married him because of the color of his eyes, imagine what the relationship would be, or the marriage would be today. So marriage is so much more than what you think. First of all, look at your future partner, the person you are hoping to get married to. Ask yourself this very salient question: can this person be my child's father? Can this person be my child's mother? If your answer is no, then don't go ahead with it. Please don't go ahead with it. That is the first one. And now also, when you are marrying, you and your husband, you have to be on the same tangent. Yes, because for you to know, first of all, you will have to know how many children you want to have. That is another thing. Because if you don't have enough money, or you have more children than you plan to have, there is a tendency that the child's upbringing may be marred by, some things. You may have to take your child somewhere else, or your child will be brought up in a way that you're not comfortable with. So try as much as possible for you and your husband to come together, or your husband to be, and say, okay, how many children can we afford, or how many? Because apart from the finances, you also have to your emotional availability. You can't be a parent that you're not available for your children. You can give them all the money, but if you don't have time to do parenting, it will be an issue. Another thing that people should look about, okay, when you have a child, first of all, you should know why you're having a child. You shouldn't just have a child. For example, Abraham in the Bible, and I'm sure Muslims call Ibrahim. Abraham in the Bible had, before he gave birth to Isaac, or his other Isaac in particular, there were things that were in his mind, because there were things that God told him. So if you want to know the purpose of your child, first of all, God will tell you, okay, something about, do you know it's possible before you even get married or have children, God will tell you about this, you are going to give birth to this child, and this is the particular reason. That is the best way, that is the safest way. Because if you plan any other way, you may just end up not it may not turn out the way you expect. Because when it's God's child, like God is bringing that child through you, he will tell you how to treat that child. So when you meet obstacles, because there'll be obstacles. When a child has a destiny, everybody, if you have a destiny, trust me, there'll be obstacles that will not want that destiny to come to pass. So when those seasons come, you'll be able to say, sorry, I'm speaking a bit louder because of the background noise. I hope it's not disturbing this video, but you'll be able to know for sure what to do. You go back to the person, you go back to the God and tell him that this is the child, this is the issue, what should I do? That is the best way. To be honest, you cannot really know how your child will end up as a parent. Yes, I'm sure Regina Daniel's mom is in a bit of a dilemma. She's a bit worried, she's a bit scared, but I don't think it was her plan for this so you have to go to God, and God will tell you, okay, this is the plan. There's always a plan for everybody, and as a parent, you should know the plan, at least to a large extent, of your child, what your child is supposed to be, so that you won't be running helter skelter. Some people, because of the economic situation, they train up their children abroad, and their children turn out to be something that they did not plan. There are many parents that are sad today. Some are in Nigeria, the parents are with them, but because they don't have a blueprint, their parenting has a lot of issues. Nobody is perfect as a parent, as anything, as an auntie, as an uncle, as a grandparent. We all have issues, but if God gives you a blueprint about your child, you'll be able to a large extent be able to determine how the child will end up, because it will be exactly how God wants that child to end up. Yes, and when you come through obstacles, you will definitely meet obstacles. You'll be able to ask and go back to God, and God will tell you what to do. So I hope this is a lesson for us all. Now, we are not saying it's the end for Regina Daniel. She's just 20 something. She has her life ahead of her. She can quickly get herself together and organize her life. I don't feel it's over for her, and decide what she wants to do. I don't think she has really been given a chance to really decide what she wants to do. I think it's been decided for her by older people, her parents, even the Nedwoko. Yes, Nedwoko. I don't know what the marriage will be. I don't know the root of the marriage, if the marriage is meant to be. But whatever it is, we are praying for Regina Daniels to come to her senses and to do the right thing. It's not too late for her. She should just drown out the noise. There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of ifs and if not. That is not really what is important. What is important is that when you make a mistake, be ready to learn from it and move on. I've made mistakes and I've shared it on this channel, and I plan to continue sharing my mistakes once in a while to guide younger people not to do some things that I ended up doing. Yeah, that's what life is all about. When you learn from a mistake, you try to help others and you move on. So till I see you in the next video where I talk about something that's equally interesting, take care and